I'm here with Tom of Evergrey to talk about their upcoming new record, Theories of Emptiness, out June 7th on Napalm Records. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me about the band, the record. How are things going with you? Busy?
Super great. Super happy to. I feel energized, which is very rare for me. I usually feel devastated and sort of worn out and tired when we're in this time period. But on the other hand, I've been in this releasing album process for, I can't remember when I wasn't. So it's like all good. I'm happy. I'm proud to. Also, I'm super happy about the album. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, so let's talk about the album. And let me start off by something that I normally don't start off with, which is the artwork and the title of the record. What inspired both? What inspired Theories of Emptiness and then an artwork that really perhaps represents that title extremely well?
I mean, after I had written the lyrics for like maybe 5 to 6 songs, I sort of went back and analyzed what the hell I was writing about, in a sense. But I mean, for me, I always write about the human experience and the heart and soul of humanity, in a sense. But it was something that I wanted to sort of get into more and understand about the songs, basically. So and then I came to the conclusion that they all were about emptiness in some kind of way or form. But not only bad emptiness. It's also about emptiness that is good, in terms of, for me, I'm in a position in life now where I don't feel that I have to run as fast as I can to get to somewhere where I don't know where it is, in order to find my purpose in life, right? So, and that sort of emptiness gives me peace of mind, which is a great feeling. It's a great position to be in terms of being who I am as well, creatively and as a family man and whatever. All of these things. It's positive for that. And but then again, it's also about the more desperate despair side of emptiness and the loneliness side of emptiness and not finding your position in the world. And so it's a lot of it. I think this is an album where we've never been as dynamic, both lyrically but also in this emotional side of the album, but also in the heaviness and the lightness. And some songs are so dark that I have a, like, we have a song called Cold Dreams with Jonas Renks. I probably skipped a bit of your schedule now, but that is so dark that I have a hard time listening to it. Maybe because it's very close to heart. But then on the other hand, we have a song called Our Way Through Silence, which is more of sounding like a Evergrey AOR type of song. So it's all of that, which is great.
And you're not even mentioning Ghost of My Hero, which to me, I've listening to that song, it felt personal, but a song that I could relate to, because I don't know who your hero is in that track, but my hero is my dad, and I don't have it with me anymore. So when I was listening to that song, it got emotional for me, because that's who I connected with. There's darkness there, but it's not necessarily bad darkness with that song.
I think that song that song is actually my perspective of viewing one of my best friends, Johan, in the band, and his father, when he lost him to cancer. So it's about my perspective of his whatever he went through, which was in its essence very disrespectful in a way. But I, of course, asked him. He wrote the song. I wrote the words and the melodies, because I thought that I could see that was what he was going through. And we didn't speak about it, but I read in an interview that he thought I nailed it word wise, and which was nice. And yeah, it's but for me it's a song about talking about the positive sides and the things that you are missing and always gonna miss, and that sorrow is lifelong and everlasting and all that. But it's more of a song in honor of buddy.
Yeah. I think I took it from a point of celebrating what we had, because if you didn't have it, you wouldn't be missing it.
Sure.
You know, it's kind of like a weird dynamic, you know. In order for you to miss something, you must have had it at some point and been important to you. So sometimes we concentrate too much on the part where we no longer have the person, that we don't really take the time to enjoy the moments that we actually had together. So I took it from that perspective.
Yeah, and I mean that emptiness is extremely easy to understand for anyone who has been either in a loving relationship with somebody and lost that one, or having lost somebody to death, or wherever, lost yourself in this world, whatever. It's about all of these perspectives in these 10 songs. So
And you mentioned Cold Dreams. Your daughter is on that track. Um, is it was it easy for you to write that song, to have that song, to make that song?
I mean, I wrote it knowing that Jonas Renkse would sing it, because me and him had many late nights discussing everything from drinking red wine to being in a shitty metal band from Sweden and doing it for as many years as we have been both doing it. But then we also had more personal, of course, discussions about things that we had encountered throughout life, and this song in particular is about having somebody in your life that you couldn't help, you know, that and we both been through that, without saying too much. So and then I felt we needed to have some sort of angelic vibe to sort of save us from that grumpy old man misery that me and Jonas are conveying in the song. But I think it really turned out well. I think but it's not a song that I feel great after listening to it. I don't, I feel quite, I feel bad. It's dark. Yeah.
Mhm. So is your daughter the better of the two singers in the family?
She's getting there, but she's got a long way to go. No, I'm kidding. No, she's good. I mean, she's great. She's like Johan in the band. They don't take their musicianship too seriously, you know. So they could become whatever they want in terms of in this music world. And Johan became the bassist of Evergrey. I don't know if that's the greatest thing in the world, but and ah, fuck. I'm
Shots
too tired.
fired today. You're relentless today.
So I've been doing this all day, so I'm tired. And I had 3 cups of coffee straight before this. So
That
this,
would do. That would do. That would do. Since you went to the bass sound on this record is something that I fell in love with it the moment I listened to the album. It's just one of the many things that I fell in love with this record. But the bass sound, it was so inspiring. It was so beautiful. It added so much atmosphere to the tracks. Was that in the back of your mind that you guys wanted that kind of sound going into the mixing and recording, or that kind of developed as you were working on the record?
I mean, having Adam Nolly Getgood mixing the album and engineering parts of it, or most parts of it, of course, he's a fantastic bass player, and having a fantastic bass player listening to another fantastic bass player, I guess that's what they decided. Let's have the bass up there, loud as fuck. No, but I mean, honestly, I mean, Johan to me is the best bass player in the world, and he hates when I say that. Here in Sweden, the big magazine, Sweden Rock Magazine, are having like a, what do you call it, like a survey. Are Johan the most underrated bass player in the world? And he's like squirming. He hates it because he doesn't think anything of himself as far as being a musician. And that's not why we do this, of course, to get patted on the back and say you're the best guitar player or the best singer or lyricist or bass player, whatever it might be. We make music because we need to make music, and yeah, it's he is an extremely talented bass player. Talented. He's like the best bass player in the world for me. Yeah.
Listen to the record. It felt like it was more like 3 guitars than like 2 guitars and a bass player. Like there was that kind of a vibe there throughout the entire album. I loved it.
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, he's also written the foundation for 70% of this album. So a lot of it is, you know, it's coming from him. me and Jonas producing it are more like taking his ideas and making them into Evergrey songs, which is an extremely fresh perspective for us to have, and it is also adding a freshness and a contemporary feel, which is great to have on your 14th album. Having somebody else come in after being in a band since 2010, I think he wrote one riff or two throughout these years, and now he came with 70 ideas, which is like ridiculous. And it's the drummer texting. Shut the fuck up. So there you go.
At least he's not the keyboard player. So
He doesn't know how to work the phone. That's why.
The record you mentioned before, this record to me also feels different from its predecessors. It has uniquenesses to it. It has its own character. It has its own textures. Does that mean the process that you guys took was also different to get to this point?
Yeah, I mean, everything was different. We didn't work with Jacob Hansen anymore, and that's not because we don't love Jacob Hansen. We're friends for life. And everything we will do with him, if we go back or whatever, it will always sound $1 million, right? So, but when things become too comfortable for me, like this would have been our 6th album with Jacob. When we know what to expect from each other, then I feel I have to leave, you know, which is pretty much the same as being in a relationship in a way, right? When you take everything for granted and know everything that's going to happen that day or forever 10 years, yeah, that might be comforting, but that's not in a position I want to be in when creating. It needs to be hurting, or it needs to be uncomfortable or something to keep you on your toes enough to be on the edge and be on the edge of your composing capabilities. Because for me, writing music is the most important thing in the world, and I can't fuck around with that. And if I feel that I'm gonna be, and this is not Jacob's fault, this is all of we're all contributing to this, knowing that the sound, the sound will be fantastic. It will sound probably something like this, but leaving that and stepping away from that comfort zone, which it has been, is probably the smartest decision we've made so far. So, and we have done that throughout the years, many times in different ways, changing locations, changing studios, changing mixing guys, changing guitars, amps, whatever, stuff to make sure that we are at our best. And having a person come in like Adam, who I have a huge respect for in terms of, I was never a Periphery fan. I never listened. I mean, I probably would be if I had listened to it, but I don't listen to that much of anything to be honest, because I don't have the time. But I had a huge amount of respect for all of them in terms of how they take their entrepreneurship and how they sort of taken themselves from being musicians to creating businesses and all of that stuff. It was like, because you see them everywhere, right? All of them, pretty much. And then, of course, I was a fan of his drum sound more than anything. So when you bring a person like that into a band and into the process of recording and writing, then you wake up again. You sort of, okay, it's time to go to work. And, you have to, because it would be extremely disrespectful towards him to not be at your very best, I guess.
This record, from your standpoint, is it an easier album for a new listener that's maybe discovering Evergrey for the first time to get into the band? Because I felt like maybe it's an easier album to digest than some of the previous ones.
Yeah, I think that if you are new to a band, yeah, go skip through like the top 10 songs that they have, but then start backwards, right? Listen to the last album. That's where we are right now. Because a lot of music is also, I mean, we're playing pop music in a sense. We're playing music Evergrey at least writes music that is based on a snapshot out of our lives from, from that time when we were writing the music. So we're not, I mean, we're not writing about Dungeons and Dragons and being whatever era that was. I don't know, but so we leave that to the people who know how to do that, because they will do that much better than me. I promise you. But I'm just bringing out my sword here. No, I'm kidding. But yeah. So yeah, what was the question?
No, I felt like this album is perhaps a little bit easier to get into if you're discovering the band. Some records, some Evergrey records require you to peel a lot more layers for you to finally see what's underneath the surface. And I felt like this album was more honest. What you see is what you get.
Yeah, both, I would say, but it also, I think, you know, like you yourself have been introduced to this album via the song Falling from the Sun, right? So that song alone sort of paints the sky with a prediction of what you are going to hear for the rest of the album. And you're in that vibe listening to it. You have heard it now. So, but yeah, I agree. But I think also the sound that Adam created for us, with us, is something that is, it's weird to say that it's more accessible, because I think that Jacob's productions are also extremely accessible. But
I agree.
in a, maybe in a more, maybe it's in a different way. And I agree with you. You hear that first song, and that's not all what you're gonna get. That's probably like 30% of what this album contains, but it is definitely that, and then some. Yeah.
How much has Silent Skies impacted you as a vocalist when it comes to then singing on an Evergrey record?
A lot. A lot. And that's the great thing about being in a band like Silent Skies, and also being in a band like Evergrey, that don't have these tight frames that we have to compose within. Sound like this, or it's gonna sound like that. For Silent Skies, we can do whatever we want. But also, like the video game music that me and Vikram makes for these huge ass games, it's like that is also contributing to bettering us as musicians, but also thinking in different ways and using different parts of our brains where we are not the sort of lead composers. We have somebody telling us we need something that sounds like this, something that sounds like this, and something that sounds like this. But everything I do, Redemption also, very different. Somebody tells me, sing this, and that somebody is one of my best friends, and I don't wanna I don't wanna get into an argument with him. But I mean, so that also challenges me in a different way. So all of these things feed each other, I would say. Silent Skies is also much better because of me singing in Evergrey this album. The next album for Silent Skies is going to be affected by that, and yeah, absolutely. But singing on, I have a guy in Australia that I do one song a year for. It's a kid, and he, you know, he sends his stuff one time a year. He saves money to to do it with me, and I do like one song per year. We're done for the last 3 years, and that also rewards me so much in the way that I get to branch out and also take part of somebody else's musical journey. And it teaches me a lot. It teaches me to become a much better musician. I learn from how he thinks in terms of his compositions, and that goes for all of them, everything. That's why I try to participate in as many projects as possible, without tampering with the quality of it, which is extremely important.
Because that was going to be my next question, because there's some musicians out there, for example, that do a lot of guest features on other people's tracks. And I feel like at a point in time when you start to do too much of that, it almost dilutes your product a little bit, and it doesn't have the same impact as the occasional work with this band or that band. Is there a fine line that you should never cross when it comes to that kind of stuff?
No, I think the line is, if I could have asked Bruce Dickinson to be on my album, I'm not saying that I'm Bruce Dickinson, but I'm saying if I could have had any of my idols be on my album, if I could have had Yngwie Malmsteen on my album, which is never going to happen, but if I could have had that happen, that I would have become a better musician already then, because I would have strived for something bigger and better or whatever. But then again, you also have to realize that it's an honor to be on other people's music. It's I mean, of course, there probably is business minds behind thinking about we should have this guy, but it is for us as well. Of course, it's gonna bring in a few Catatonia fans to have Jonas from Catatonia being on our album, but it's also probably gonna bring, and vice versa, you know. So it's a collaborative thing. And it's the co-creation for me that is the rewarding part of it. And I don't do music that I feel is that I don't feel that I can enhance, or that I feel that is so bad that, or that I don't like. Of course, I don't do that. I do, but then again, working with a kid who's 13 years old, you have to position yourself in his shoes and see, okay, where is he in his musical career, and how much could I expect? And am I bettering his chances to become a better musician, or am I making them worse? You know. So it's all of these things. But no, I think people, for me, it's an honor to just, I'm afraid that I'm gonna die soon and not having had the chance to write all the music that I can. And you know, that's that's what I'm struggling with right now.
The question that I think that's on everybody's mind is when it comes to this album release, did you guys blow all of your music video budget on the fireworks?
Yes, and then some. So the next video that comes out tomorrow is ain't gonna be shit. You know, it's like gonna be black room, and then that's that.
Because it seems like when they ask you guys how much fireworks do you want, your answer was yes.
Yeah, it was. And we were also very lucky to know somebody who own a fireworks company. But that doesn't make it cheap. But it's like, honestly, it also what the hell am I gonna do with this song? It felt it needed some sort of bombast and and not the storyline that would take away from the music, because that's all I wanted for this song, was that the song was sort of, what do you call it, lifted by the scenery of the fireworks and the bombs and whatever. But yeah, it was crazy. And people think about, is it CGI, or is it the same shot? And dude, we were there for like 4 hours, and they were pushing it like this.
Did you guys have to notify the police or anything like that? Because I figure like that's a lot of fireworks.
Dude, I think honestly, if you push the button once, boom, 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 bam, 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 that's what's happening. You know, it's like 5 or 6 or 10 blasts for each button hit, and we had 750 of those, I think, or something. So, but then again, their companies, they're doing pyro. They're called Unique Pyrotechnics, and they're doing pyro for everyone from Swedish House Mafia too. So they're always testing their pyros there. So, I guess the neighborhood knows. So the police know, okay, it's them fuckers again, you know. So,
Because I'm like,
but
wow,
yeah, well, it was
the
crazy.
neighbors gotta love you.
At the end, we were like, oh, okay, another fucking bang. Okay, cool.
When will we see you guys? I know the times are difficult, and we live strange times as well. But when will we see Evergrey back in North America? It's been a very long time.
I mean, dude, honestly, it's getting more and more expensive, and I know other bands are doing it, but for us, it's like now I think we have 91 shows that we haven't released that we're doing this year. So we're gonna be touring all this year in Europe and Latin America and whatever. So I don't know, but we're aiming for next year. But we also are in the position where we have to have everything in place. It needs to be the right package, because we're too old to go there and lose $200,000 just for the sake of losing $200,000. It's like, it doesn't make sense, right? So
Mhm.
it's extremely expensive, and it's become more expensive too, which is weird. It's like North America doesn't want tax money. I don't know. I don't get it. Invite every band in the world to come there, and then you will have some sort of revenue, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I mean, you're stifling the business.
Yeah.
It's not like you're coming here to take somebody's work away. You're coming here to create work, create revenue for everybody, venues, everybody. So I just don't get it. Maybe if you guys doing a European run and you play a show in Iceland, I'll come visit Thorsten and see you guys play there.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I think that's gonna happen one day. Or we did 2 shows with Torsten once. I think there were 12 people one day, and then there were the same 12 people the second day. So this is way back on the way. We were going to America actually. We were coming home. I can't remember, but yeah, I fucking love Iceland. So I've been there a few times. So yeah,
12 people, that's half the population of Reykjavik. So you guys did really good.
that was sold out.
Exactly. You were sold out. One last question before I let you go, and that's perhaps something that I've wondered about Evergrey, considering the growth of the band and where you guys are and where you guys were. When you look at Evergrey today, are you guys exactly where you would hope you would be?
Hell no. We still expect world domination. We still think that we will be bigger than Metallica and Iron Maiden. So, and that's the God. I mean, then there's the logic side of it, but fuck that. We're here to conquer the world, and that's that.
One riff at a time.
Yes.
Tom, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciated talking to you. And like I said, if I don't see you in North America, I'll fly to Iceland. I can do that. So
I think that's further away than America's.
It is, but you know what? It's cheaper to fly there than it is to fly to the States. So you know, it's things are crazy. Things are crazy on this part of the world. Thank you very much for your time. All the best with this release. I love this record. Amazing work.
Thank you.
Honestly, you guys did a phenomenal job. This is easily my favorite album that you guys have ever. I know every new album is everybody's favorite album, but really, this is my favorite Evergrey record. I really love it.
Thank you. I mean, honestly, I've never said that about any album before, ever. And you can backtrack that. But for this album, I feel that I have to, because I feel that it is our best album ever. So you can hold me to that after the next album.
After the next album. Take care, man. All the best.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.